Monsieur le Président, j'ai une suggestion par rapport à la formalisation de l'artisanat minier. Je suis en train de me demander ici si on ne pouvait pas penser au lancement et à l'appui à un projet pilote par pays dans le cadre de l'amélioration de cette formalisation. Et que donc, on soutiendrait ou on appuierait, par exemple, une coopérative minière par pays. Et c'est là l'artisanat minier, si on se limitait d'abord à savoir comment peut fonctionner une coopérative dans chacun de ces pays de la région. Par rapport à l'amélioration du travail de la CIRGL, je voudrais savoir quel mécanisme d'évaluation est mis en place pour se rassurer du bon déroulement des activités de la CIRGL, parce que, comme nous avons eu à le suivre, c'est que constate que voilà tout ce que nous avons déjà réalisé depuis que nous existons, mais ce n'est pas un organe indépendant qui a évalué la CIRGL. Et si, au niveau de la CIRGL, on a déjà fait cette évaluation, c'est combien de fois qu'on l'a faite? Et quels étaient les constats? Et enfin, quelles étaient les perspectives au niveau de la CIRGL? Parce que tous les espoirs au niveau de la région sont fondés dans la CIRGL. Et donc, je voudrais qu'on puisse nous dire quel mécanisme d'évaluation est mis en place pour se rassurer du bon travail de la CIRGL. Merci.
I just have two comments to make, and Maporia has just highlighted one of them. On the issue of fiscal policies, you know, the major problem we have with the minerals within the region is smuggling. You find somebody gets the mineral from Uganda here, you want to sell it in DRC, where it does not happen like that in most cases. But take that as an example. What motivates this Ugandan guy get the mineral from Uganda and bring it to Kenya or take it to another region? One of the things is maybe the royalty differences. You find here Uganda is charging royalty or maybe 5%. Rwanda is not charging any royalty. As a businessman, I will feel motivated to carry my goods to Rwanda where I will not pay anything. That encourages smuggling. And that's why Maporias, we came up with that idea of harmonizing the royalty regimes. Another issue which is very key are the import duties. You realize some countries are charging import duties on minerals, let's say. That discourages value additions within the region. Because if, let's say, Kenya has the potential to process or to value add on a certain mineral, the aspect of import duties discourages it from sourcing the material from where it can be found within the region. And we give an opportunity to the outside world to take this material as it is, land of mine we call it, and process it elsewhere. We export value and we export job opportunities. And that is very key. As the region, we must come up with ways of encouraging value addition. And one way which we are introducing in Kenya is different royalty regimes. If you are exporting raw minerals, you pay, let's say, 4%. If you are exporting processed minerals, you pay like 0.5%. That way, we encourage the investors to do a bit of value addition within the country in the spirit of trying to avoid paying high taxes. Another issue which nobody has tackled is the aspect of small-scale miners. Africans, always we like thinking small. Small-scale miners, small artisanals, small businessmen, small everybody. Please, let's come up with good, clear definitions of these people we are trying to formalize as small artisanal miners. How will we engage or how will we assess them when they become large-scale miners?
And accountability is part of what we are thinking. But we need money to do a lot of these things. That material was going out with all the problems that it was going out. Suddenly, we are short of money. Do we need to depend on the donors? Do we need to depend on the meager money that we have coming from our own system of collections? Or we can just expand a little bit of our market, get a lot of money, and then try to pursue our goal of accountability, transparency, good governance. So this area, we have a possibility of accessing the market, and then the Dodd-Frank is not for, it is for the American companies buying, sourcing in the region. What we have on our system is the ACGR system of controlling the minerals. And all of these elements of certification do take into consideration the accountability, the transparency, the tracking of the system and everything. So revenue will be accounted for, taxes will be paid, and we will know to whom and to who's getting out of it. So there's no problem there. And then again, you have to remember that the heads of state directed us to enact or to do into motion 6 instruments. These are the Bible, if you could say, from our action on ICGLR. Prince Kiangi proposed that to be more concrete, what we should do is to have a kind of pilot projects to see if the system of cooperative would work. Maybe my friends from the steering committee could talk on their respective countries, but I believe that there is also already initiatives of that sort in DRC. And when we have BGA and all these donors, most of the projects are pilot-based projects. And then it is already ongoing in DRC, where we have a tender for a few projects on artisanal dealing to see if it could work.
We very much welcome the idea of identifying artisanal small-scale entrepreneurs on the mineral value chain, which can be potentially supported with a view to moving up with their operations and so on. This is consistent with an initiative that is part of the African Mining Vision, which is an African Mineral Development Center, which is the African Mineral Skills Initiative. One of the pillars of that initiative includes the capacity development and the strengthening of mining entrepreneurship on the continent. So I think we could work together to try and address that particular issue.
After deliberations on the various issues and recommendations presented by the different sessions leaders, the key messages were read out and delegates were invited to make corrections on the final document, which will now be passed on to political and policy makers to implement the outcomes from this meeting. The first correction intervention was by Burundi.
Je voudrais souligner sur la page 7, lorsqu'il y a eu lieu un panel ministériel sur l'amélioration d'accès aux ressources énergétiques et l'avancement de la sécurité au niveau de l'Afrique de l'Est. Le Burundi était là et aussi il a dressé l'état du lieu. Mais si ce rapport, le Burundi n'est pas mentionné, et on dirait qu'il n'est pas présenté. Donc, oui, c'est ça.
It's about the orthograph. The meeting welcomed the report and suggest the following change and or made. The Q must be replaced by A.
All right.
After the proceedings of corrections, the chair of the conference, Ugandan Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, congratulated the organizers.
African member states, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I congratulate you on successfully concluding your meeting. Judging by the work program, and the very salient issues raised in the meeting's report. It is evident your engagement over the last 4 days has been rich and fruitful. However, as has been mentioned, I do hope you found time to experience the people and places within Kampala. It's not too late to book and to place another booking to come back to Uganda and see the whole of Uganda. I will just repeat the words of our very first promoter of tourism and trade, Winston Churchill, in 1901, when he told his fellow businessmen, "Consider Uganda." I am here not as Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development of Uganda, but today I'm particularly here as the Minister of Economic Development. Thank you very much for the invitation to come here. I came in at 1 o'clock this morning from Denmark, and I'm leaving this evening for Kigali, as has been mentioned, but I had to be here. Thank you. Energy is key to the survival of mankind. It is second only to the basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter. I think it is commonly understood that civilization began when our ancestor, caveman, discovered fire. The theme of this conference, enhancing energy access and energy security in the Eastern Africa sub-region, is a core ingredient in achieving our common goal of sustainable and inclusive structural transformation. Sustainable and inclusive growth is what we can call development. To achieve this vision, we need to become more productive with our existing resources and improve our capacity to use available technology in our production processes. Considering that modern energy is integral to almost all technologically driven processes, it means that the question of energy access and security is critical for our development agenda. I am confident that the stimulating discussions you've had over the last 4 days have afforded all of us new insights and perspectives on how to better mobilize and deploy our individual and collective capabilities in the push to transition our countries to middle income status over the next generation, partly through sustained investment in energy access and security. I assure you that here in Uganda, energy is key for us achieving our macroeconomic objectives of improved employment, better income distribution, and narrowing our balance of payments gap.
At a final media briefing, the director of ECA Sub-Regional Office for Eastern Africa, the chair and rapporteur general, responded to questions from the local, regional, and international member of the press.
How can the diaspora be engaged in this sort of or contribute in this sort of important aspects that are happening within the continent? As you know, Uganda, Minister, you know, Uganda has a very huge diaspora community, and it will be very important for such development or things that are happening. They should also have a contribution into that. How is the Ugandan government engaging with their diaspora in that? And to you, Director, I was wondering if, as part of your work, you know, there's a way that you also engage the diaspora in contributing to some of this aspect, just not people just within the continent, but it's also important to engage the diaspora.
I'll go first. The diaspora is a very important economic force here in Uganda, and we fully recognize that. In fact, just yesterday, on Wednesday night, I met with the Ugandans in Copenhagen, and these are some of the things we discussed. I think there's still a lot of room for improvement to make sure we have a consistent and continuous dialogue with the diaspora. And this is made easier through the big strides in ICT technology. Right now, the ministries all have websites where we post information. Diaspora people go there and pick up stuff. But it needs to be much more interactive, much more a two-way street. People say we should put up Facebook accounts or Twitter or the rest of this new language. But it's something I think that diaspora can tell us. How can we communicate with them more continuously and in a more productive manner? We're very, very keen to hear how that can be done.
So we've just come to the conclusion of the 17th Intergovernmental Committee for Energy in Africa here in Kampala, and as you just saw, the Minister and also the Director of ECA in East Africa basically wrapping up and giving us the media the conclusion and the recommendations and some of the actions that are going to be taken.
Omulungi wange omulungi wange ndaba kuki omulungi wange nabatuse